Okay, this is the story about how one delivery to Family Dollar pretty much ruined my career as a truck driver. So, what's happening right now is I just got off of I-78. I'm in the city of Irvington, New Jersey, and I'm about to make a delivery to a Family Dollar store. In case you're wondering where Irvington is, it's very close to Newark, New Jersey. So, let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm looking into this alley and I'm like, are they really expect me to get this in there? How do they expect me to do that? My only experience is with making deliveries to large warehouses. I have no experience in this. I don't know how they expect me to get this in here correctly. I don't even really know which way I'm supposed to be facing because it's a dark alley. I can't see in it to see where I'm supposed to be. All I can see though is a door that's on the side of the store near the front. So I'm guessing to myself, well, a trailer's obviously going to be in front of that door so that I can unload it and bring the stuff inside the store. So I'm guessing I have to go in the alley facing forward so that the rear of the trailer is facing toward the door that's near the front of the store. So let's see where that choice leads. Okay, I look out the window and I then see the door that I should have been making a delivery to, the door I should have been facing. And then it is completely obvious immediately that I am facing the wrong way. So, of course, I start swearing using all 13 bad words. But seriously, pretty much every swear word that I knew existed in the English language came out of my mouth at that moment. Not to mention a few swear words that I know of in the Japanese and Spanish languages as well, because I was so mad. Every swear word I could think of was popping into my head. I was also banging on the steering wheel a lot as well, and punching a bunch of stuff. I think I remember picking up my clipboard and throwing it across the other side of the cab. I was really frustrated at that point. Well, after I calmed down, I realized, well, I guess there's nothing left to do but back up and turn around. But there was a slight problem with that, which I'll show you in a little bit. Okay, so I start to back up, but then I realized that this is a very busy street. I can't just back into it because I might hit someone or someone might run into me as I'm trying to back up. So I just stopped at the end of the sidewalk and did the only thing I really could do at that point. I called the local police station of Irvington, New Jersey, and asked them to block the road for me so I could back up. At this point, I also called the grocery store and my fleet manager to let them know what the delay is. Okay, so here's how the conversation between me and the police station went when I called them. So I'm dialing the phone and they answer and they say Irvington Police Department, and then I say, yeah, my name is insert first name and last name here. I'm trying to make a delivery to a Family Dollar store number, and then I give them the store number and its address. Then I tell them I'm facing the wrong way in the alley and I need to back up, but I can't because there's too many cars in the street and I need someone to block the road so that I can back up. And then they said, oh, you're in a tractor trailer? And I said, yes. And they said, okay, hold on, we'll get someone out there. After that, I called the fleet manager to let him know what the delay was. This is how that conversation went. So I called the number, he answers, and I say, okay, I'm going to be a little late. I'm at the delivery location, but here's the thing. I'm facing the wrong way in the alley, so I have to back up, turn around, and back into the alley. He then explains to me that when making deliveries to complicated locations like this, it's not as simple as just driving to the place, backing up the trailer, like you would do at a normal warehouse. Sometimes you actually have to stop in the middle of the street and get out and actually survey the area before bringing the truck into the location. He said even he has, in some situations, gotten out of the truck with the turn signal on to survey the area before bringing it in. And he also said those other drivers on the road might get mad at you for getting out of the truck, but you have to do it. There's pretty much no way around that. And then he says, and don't worry about that too much though, because a lot of people have trouble getting into the store. So apparently he understood the situation I was in because other people have made this mistake or something like that. Because he didn't seem too mad. He didn't seem nearly as mad as I expected him to be. So I'm guessing he kind of expected this, maybe out of experience, or maybe a lot of other people have had this issue when making a delivery to his location. But for some reason, he was not that mad at me. Not nearly as mad as I expected. So I'm just sitting here waiting for the cops to show up. Okay, so one of the police officers walks up to my truck and he says, so you're trying to back up into the street? And I said, yes. And he said, so you accidentally came in facing the wrong way. I said, yep, that's exactly what happened. He says, okay, well, don't worry, we're going to block up the street so you can get out of here. And I said, thank you. With the pesky drivers of New Jersey finally stopped in their tracks, I was finally able to back up. Okay, as soon as I get out back onto the street, the cops unblock the road. But as soon as they do that, the cars start piling up behind me again. For some reason, these people are so stupid they can't put two and two together and think, oh, there's a Family Dollar over here. The truck trailer has a Family Dollar logo on it, so maybe he's trying to make a delivery to his Family Dollar, and we should probably not be in his way. But no, these people are so stupid, they can't even conjure up enough common sense to realize they're in my way. So they stop their cars inches behind the back bumper of my trailer, and I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Can you really be this stupid that you can't tell that I'm trying to back up? I mean, I got my four ways on, and I was clearly moving, and the truck was clearly in reverse, because you can see the reverse lights on it. So I don't know how these people can't understand I'm trying to back up. So I try to back up a few inches, but then the car behind me blows their horn instead of getting out of my way because he's an idiot. So I make the decision to go once around the block and go back to the store and try again. Okay, at this point I'm considering the option of quitting. But a few horrible flashbacks from my old job working at Amazon stopped me from even considering such an option. Amazon is arguably the worst job I've ever had, and many people who have worked there will probably agree with me. One of the main issues I have with that job is something called the rate system. Basically, they say you have to scan a certain amount of barcodes per hour, or they fire you. But a lot of times, a bunch of unfortunate circumstances happen that you can't control that slow down the amount of barcodes you can scan per hour, but they still fire you for it because they don't care. For example, sometimes the item has a problem with it where I can't scan the barcode. Like, for example, the barcode is damaged in a way that it can't be scanned. The only way to fix that is to take it to a person known as a problem solver, who then prints out a new barcode for you. But what do you do if the problem solver is on break? Well, there's nothing you can do until they come back. Would it be nice to be able to skip that barcode and come back to it later on? Of course it would, but the system is designed in such a way that you can't skip that one item and come back to it. There were other issues as well. For example, so one of my jobs was receive. I would take stuff off the conveyor belt, prepare them to be stored in the warehouse, then place them back on the conveyor belt. The main issue with that is sometimes the conveyor belt would stop, or sometimes the emergency cord would get pulled, or sometimes it would get jammed, and that would stop things from being sent down the line, and therefore stop the amount of stuff I can scan. But despite that, the guy with the clipboard is sure going to show up to where you're working and then tell you, oh, you're not scanning enough barcodes per hour. Scan more per hour or we'll fire you. And let me tell you something. This job has given me so much stress. I mean, I remember this one specific nightmare. It was a recurring nightmare I would have almost every night when I worked at Amazon. Basically, I'm waking up. I'm going to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden I see myself surrounded by a bunch of shadowy figures. These people are pretty much everybody that I work for that runs the company. For example, the managers, the general manager, etc. They all have clipboards in their hand, and they're all basically reading out to me every area that I'm failing in at this job, because it seems like no matter how hard I try at that job, I just can't seem to succeed in it. Every time, there's always someone with a clipboard telling you, oh, you're not working hard enough, work harder or we fire you. And I was so sick of that I spent $6,000 going to truck driving school so I wouldn't have to put up with it anymore, because I just didn't want to go through it. Like, I didn't even think twice about the possible consequences of taking out a loan this big. I was so desperate to leave that job that it didn't matter. I was willing to do anything it took to put myself in a situation where I would never have to see the inside of that place again. There's also another dream I had where I'm waking up and I look across my room and I see the guy with the clipboard, and he's like, well, I've noticed you haven't woken up fast enough. You don't wake up faster, we'll fire you. And then I say, oh yeah, we'll fire this. And then I throw him out the window. That is the most satisfying dream I've ever had, pretty much. I would really be happy waking up from that dream, because that guy with the clipboard got on my nerves so much, I envisioned throwing him out the window on several occasions. So, now I'm convinced I will not leave this job. Nothing could possibly convince me to do so. But I still have the problem where I have to make this delivery. So what do? I think to myself. Well, clearly, you can't go in there without a plan. So, I look at everything. I take everything into consideration. I look at the traffic lights, the way they're timed on either side of the block. I look at the traffic patterns and try to see if I can find some kind of way that I can take back this street for the 5 minutes that I need to make this delivery. I really need to own this street or I'm going to have a big problem. So I need to figure out a way that I can take it from them. Well, after a few seconds, I actually came up with a really amazing plan for how to take back this street for the few minutes I needed to get this trailer in that alley. It was a really amazing plan too, and I'll show you exactly what I did. Okay, step one of this plan. As soon as the traffic lights on the oncoming side of the road turned red, I turned the steering wheel to the left and I blocked the entire road using the truck and the trailer. A bunch of people got mad and started blowing their horn. I said to myself, "Oh yeah, well, sucks to be you then. Shouldn't have been in my way." I was feeling really good about myself at this point. I had now taken control of this street, and I was now going to back into the store without these pesky New Jersey drivers getting in my way. Okay, so at this point, the traffic light on the oncoming side of the road changes to green, and the cars on the oncoming side of the road start driving past me, and I'm thinking, man, these people are stupid. I mean, you have to be a special kind of stupid to see this truck zigzagging all across the road with the Family Dollar logo on, and right next to a Family Dollar store, and not be able to put two and two together and think, oh, he's backing up to the store. Like, how did they not see me? Well, maybe they saw me, but they're just idiots, so they had no idea what was going on. So anyway, I had to wait for the traffic light on the oncoming side of the road to change to red again so I could continue with this maneuver. But I still had control over most of the street at this point. I was actually using the traffic light to my advantage. I knew that as soon as that light turned red, all I had to do was back up, and the truck and the trailer was going to be pushed into the alley. This didn't happen in real life. I didn't hit the store yet. At this point, I did manage to get the trailer in the alley and back up to the store without hitting it. But I can't get the trailer to turn the way it did in real life because of this game's physics partially, and partially because I actually can't remember the specific ways I turned the steering wheel to get the trailer to do what I needed it to do. All I remember is that I backed up from the street and I got it in the alley. Okay, I finally managed to get this trailer into this alley correctly. Success! But there's another problem. I opened the trailer door in order to unsecure the load so I can take out the first package. But as it turns out, I was not used to the specific fastening device used to keep the load secured while the truck was in motion. This was referred to as a load bar. So I take one look at this thing and I'm like, what in the world? Now, you may be thinking, you used to work at Fedex Ground and you unloaded trailers, so didn't you come across load fastening devices? The answer to that is, of course I did, but none of those were load bars. What FedEx uses to fasten the loads in place are something called load nets, which are basically large straps that attach to the sides of the trailer and lock in place. Well, it's kind of hard to explain, so I'll just show you a picture of it. These load straps are actually very easy to use. You don't really need that much experience to know how to attach them and undo them. But these things, I could not even figure out how I was supposed to take the thing off. Like, there weren't any instructions saying, okay, this is how you use this thing. And sadly, they conveniently forgot to train me how to use these, even though every single Family Dollar trailer I was doomed to haul from here on out was going to have one of these in it. They never thought it was a good idea to train me on how to use these. So I'm standing there puzzled at how to take these things down because there's no explanation on how. So I'm going online and I'm looking up how to undo a load bar. All I could find were videos telling me how to attach the thing to the walls of the trailer. Couldn't find anything telling me how to detach it. So, of course, the manager is like, "Okay, what's going on? You're supposed to be unloading the trailer." And then of course I have to explain to him, I don't know how to undo a load bar. So I'm expecting him to yell at me, but he doesn't. He just sends someone in the trailer and tells him to try to help me undo the load bar. Sadly, neither of us knew how to undo the load bar, so completely desperate to get this thing off the trailer, I simply yank it down with every every ounce of strength I had. This, of course, caused chips in the walls of the trailer to pop out, but I didn't care at that point. At that point, it was like, you know what? What difference does it make? So yeah, the load bar was out, and so were several small pieces of chunks coming from the walls of the trailer. But at least at this point, I was able to unload the trailer. Okay, so unfortunately, the problems didn't end there. The Family Dollar stores are supposed to have rollers that extend into your truck so to make it easier for you to unload the packages. But apparently these were damaged by magic pixie dust somehow, so they were unable to extend them to the truck. Or rather, they didn't really give a reason as to why they couldn't bring them up to the truck. But I'm guessing it was damaged by magic pixie dust, 'cause I couldn't think of any logical reason why they couldn't do it. The reason they usually give is that the rollers were damaged, but even if that's the case, why not just prop it up with something? You're telling me in that whole supply closet you couldn't find one thing that could go underneath the rollers so that you could support them, even if the support beams themselves were damaged. But whatever. Oh, and by the way, this picture is completely fake. They tell you, oh, try putting something underneath the roller so they can have a constant slope so that the packages just roll down the rollers. But you know what happens if you actually put the packages underneath the rollers in order to support them? The manager yells at you for putting the packages underneath the rollers. But yeah, that was actually in the training video, so I'm not even sure what I was supposed to have done differently. But it gets worse even still. The manager complains that the truck isn't close enough to the store. Basically, what he's thinking is if I was closer to the store, it would take slightly less time to move each and every individual package off the truck and to the store. Because remember, the rollers couldn't be used, so we had to take every single box and then just place it in the store one by one. So yeah, he's basically saying this, it'll speed up the process a little bit more if you move it closer to the store. Now, I didn't really think that I could get it any closer to the store, but I didn't have any training on what to do if you're in a situation where the customer tells you to do something you don't think you can do. So I'm thinking, well, if I don't do what he tells me, then he's probably going to tell my manager that I didn't do what he told me to do, and I could probably get in trouble for that. So I'm thinking, well, if the customer wants me to get closer to the store, then maybe I have to try to get closer to the store. But sadly, I got a little too close and I hit the door, which then the door itself was bent from this impact, and the locking mechanism used to open and close the door was damaged beyond repair, according to the manager. So he says they had to order a new door. So this is pretty much the accident that fired me. But it gets worse even still. Because I had to unload every single package one by one, and because the rollers weren't available to me, it took me a long time to unload this trailer. How long did it take me? Well, I'll give you a hint. Oh, and just so you know, I didn't have anything to eat during this time either. I had no breakfast, no lunch. The only thing I had to eat that day was dinner after I finished unloading the trailer.